everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of Eat, Drink, Write, an Urban Fantasy Whiteboard. I am Sherry Ellison.
I'm Taylor Ellison.
And today we are going to be talking about adding mystery to your urban fantasy.
Yeah.
First, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a margarita because I love those.
And I can't call her boring because I am drinking a margarita as well. I made a keto margarita. And what are we eating?
Scotch eggs.
These things, guys, are so amazing. You take a hard-boiled egg and you wrap it in sausage, and usually you deep fry it. But my daughter number 3 made these for us today for our podcast, and she baked them. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit healthier than the deep fat frying one.
Oh, and they're delicious.
Really delicious, and you can have any kind of sauce you want with it. I prefer the mustard sauces that go with it, but you could do horseradish or whatever. I'll post pictures.
Yes.
So how was your week?
It's still weird with the coronavirus stuff going on. So I have been mostly working from home. I'm essential for about 30 minutes a week at my physical building. So I do have to go in for that. But otherwise, I've been at home. So I've had time to plan out my next work in progress and do a little bit of writing on it.
What is your next work in progress?
Oh, it's actually an old work in progress. So it's I'm working on the very first book that I wrote when I was 18.
Oh, yeah.
That I rewrote, and now I'm rewriting again because...
With Aiden.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
I'm
good
excited.
For you. Yeah. I didn't get much writing done this week. Nothing's changed for me with the coronavirus. I've always worked from home.
Right.
So and in fact, I actually, because I'm so used to working from home, people are relying on me to help them transition into how to do it because I've done it for so long. So it's been an interesting week, not at all laid back and chill like some people have had.
Right. Oh, yeah. You were submitting to agents. Were you ever able to do that?
I did, and we're in the and now we wait stage.
Now we wait, yeah.
So very exciting.
Cool. Very cool.
Very exciting. So for mystery, now we're urban fantasy, so that is the main genre. But mystery, I think, is in most works that you read.
Right.
Not all of them, but it's a very common thing. So
yeah.
It's not going to be the same as like a mystery crime thriller,
like a pure whodunit kind of thing. Yeah,
correct. Because we're more about the magic and the urban fantasy end of things. But I've got a little definition. I think you've got a little definition.
Yeah,
and then we'll start from there. My definition says, mystery stories revolve around a main character on a quest to solve a crime. A mystery creates suspense and the desperate, quote, need to know by revealing, end quote, by revealing the identity of the antagonist only at the climax of the story. The story drops clues throughout the plot to invite readers to join in the investigation.
It's a much longer definition than what I have.
What's yours?
Mystery fiction is a genre of fiction usually involving a mysterious death or crime to be solved, and that was it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a lot probably better than my wordy one, but...
I don't know, the wordy one got in a lot more, it envelops a lot more of what I think a mystery is.
Okay.
So.
And then there are differences between suspense, mystery, and thrillers.
Nice. Yeah, go over that.
Okay. So a mystery, the plot centers around a protagonist trying to solve a crime.
Yeah.
The reader is aware of the same information as the detective or investigator.
Can I pause?
Yes.
So in an urban fantasy, do you think it's necessary to have like a crime or a murder? Like, do you think it has to be that? Because
no.
Okay. Cool.
And it can be any kind of mystery, and it doesn't even have to be a main plot line. It can be a very small plot line.
Right. Yeah.
A mystery also involves clues that mislead and has that anticipation of solving the crime.
Right, yeah.
Suspense, the reader is aware of a little bit more than that protagonist. That makes it so much more suspenseful when you know that person's about to walk into a door that you know what's on the other side. The reader already knows, so that's scary.
Which I think for that you'd have to play a lot with your point of view, because if you're first person, you can't...
Which, urban fantasy... I mean, there's still ways to build suspense.
Right.
But urban fantasies are normally first-person point of view. So how do you then make your reader know more than your first-person character?
Right, yeah.
The suspense increases the worry and anticipation, and it's more suspenseful than a mystery. And then a thriller is where there's constant danger.
Oh, okay.
It's like action.
Yeah.
It's all action all the time. It's very quick paced. It's not about solving the puzzle. It's more about what the stakes are if they don't get to whatever end that they're looking for.
Okay, neat.
So those were the basic beginning definitions that I have. And
very
then
nice.
I have how to add mystery, And then I have some other things to consider. So I don't know how you want to go about doing this.
Yeah, so I also have how can I add mystery to my stories.
Okay.
I have 6 do's and don'ts, so 3 do's when writing a mystery and 3 don'ts when writing a mystery. And then I also have just a general question. Do you think it's important to have mystery in an urban fantasy? Do you think it's necessary to have it? Because I know in one of our very first episode when we were talking about what urban fantasy is, one of the 5 things that was necessary on one of those blogs that we read said, yeah, you have to have mystery. So do you think that it is necessary to have it?
I think mystery is, in the generic term,
Right.
There's got to be something mysterious about what's happening in an urban fantasy, but it doesn't have to be a crime.
Or like a murder.
It doesn't have to be a murder.
I feel like a lot of urban fantasies, though, do have, there's a murder and you have to solve
Right.
it. And like the main character is a supernatural whatever who has to figure it out. But I don't, because I'm thinking about my own books too. And like, I don't necessarily have a mystery in the general fashion, like in the general sense of the word. Because, obviously people get murdered, but she's not trying to solve that murder. She's more trying to, I'm talking about my MacBook. She's more trying to figure out how to stop that because she knows who's doing it. So,
well, it's like freaking fairies is not the mystery in that one. There is a mystery, but she doesn't realize that it's a mystery when it starts. She thinks that the fairies have lost this gem and that she's just trying to help them find it before they get massacred by the rest of the fae.
Right.
But what she doesn't know is that it really is a mystery, and there are clues along. So I think it does fit in the category of mystery. I do believe that is added.
Yeah.
In trick, there is mystery, but it's not a crime.
Yeah.
It's misleading things that leads to a twist at the end.
Yeah.
Which I think is a mystery in and of itself too, because your reader is going along with these clues that you've given them, and then when it's revealed, it's not what they expected.
Yeah.
So
right.
So I really do think there is an element of mystery or suspense in every urban fantasy.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll have to do some research and see if I can come up with some that don't have
that.
Because like action urban fantasy is going to be more about the action that's going on and the danger and that kind of thing. But
right,
even that could be because of a mystery.
Right.
So I really do think that there is always some kind of
mystery. Yeah. All right. Well, how about you start with how can we add mystery? Because I think we have a lot of the same things, so
I think we probably do.
Go back and forth with each other.
Okay. So the first thing is, this is like for people who have never written and are stuck. The first thing you have to do to be able to add mystery is you, the writer, have to know the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Before you start writing.
Yep.
Only then are you going to know how to add your mystery in and what clues to leave and when to leave those clues.
You guys can't see us, but she's doing the weaving motion with her hands.
Yes. So that's I think the very first thing you have to know is you, the writer, have to know what the mystery is and how it's solved before you can.
I think so too, because that way you can go back and add in those clues that are going to help your reader be like, oh, like I saw this all along. Like this actually makes sense. And I think you can add in a decent amount of foreshadowing just because you know the end too.
And this isn't to say that your first draft you might not know that mystery.
No.
It might come out. So I say before you start writing, that's not necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
Sometimes as you're writing a novel, things happen, your characters do things, and a mystery ends up being there that you didn't realize.
And it's like, oh my gosh, this was the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. And yeah.
So then you can go back and add in those clues and things so that's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is that your reader should know what your point of view character knows, unless you're going for suspense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So generally in a first person scenario, you're going to know what that person knows because that's how we're hearing the story is through that person's point of view.
Which honestly, one of my favorite things about urban fantasy first person stories is that you're in their head, so you know only what they know, but you also know that they're not necessarily a reliable narrator.
Correct.
Because the things that they know might be skewed by past experiences. They might be skewed by feelings and emotions.
And that might be one way that we as the writer can let the reader know more
without the actual character knowing.
Because the reader would be seeing this and know, that's kind of a skewed way of looking at that.
Right, like she or he is thinking about it this way because, oh, their brother just died, and so therefore they're not looking at it clearly or whatever.
And the reader is clear-minded, and
Right.
so might know more that way. So that's interesting. That's a good way to do that. And then I jump into the biggest part of a mystery, I think, is the clues. Which
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's probably the majority of what you've got as well.
Right.
A clue is anything that serves to lead to the solution of the mystery.
Yeah.
And then I read, I think, the same blog that you did by Jill Williamson.
Yep.
In February of 2012, she did a blog. And she was saying that clues can be observations, they can be relationships, they can be physical things like objects, and they can be dialogue.
Yeah.
And she goes into more detail, like observations could be your character noting something. And from first person point of view, her example was a tattoo.
Right.
That later comes into being because the bad guy has a similar tattoo or the same tattoo.
Right.
Relationships, it could be, that gives you motive. You know, the people who, an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or a family member that doesn't get along. Physical things, that's actual objects that they see, footprints,
a certain book or...
Yes, the typical things that you think of.
Right.
And then dialogue, you have liars and people that tell the truth.
I love writing dialogue. It's one of my favorite parts of writing just because the way people interact is so interesting to me. And writing clues into dialogue is so much fun because you can have someone say something and it might seem innocent at first, but then if you go back and you're like, oh no, like that person said this and therefore they're the killer, and like I realize it now, and that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Did you have more on clues?
Yeah, I think clues are both meant to give your audience a chance to figure out who the bad guy is, but it should also keep your reader guessing, in my opinion, because you put in a clue and it's like, especially if it's something that's seemingly out of place, seemingly, I guess, let me backtrack. So seemingly out of place, but also, sure, that book is just sitting on the nightstand. Whatever.
Right.
Like, it's not important or seemingly unimportant. But at the same time, whenever I'm reading a story and it's like, oh, this book was on the nightstand, and I'm like, why did they say that?
They said that for a reason.
Right.
And I have something on that. I read in another blog somewhere on the internet that you should hide clues in the midst of other details. So if that book is important, have her see all these other things, and that book is just as innocuous as any other thing.
Right.
So it doesn't become, your reader
It's not like red flag here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which I think is pretty important to a mystery. Like, you want your clues to keep readers guessing.
Yeah.
And to kind of make them be like, why is that important? And so now they're thinking about it, and they're going to be thinking about it throughout the book, and they're like, ooh, it could be this person because of that book. And then it's like, oh, wait, but it could be this person because of that book, and that kind of thing. And then I also read, space them out. You don't want to have like multiple clues like in a row. And likewise, you don't want to have them too far apart. And that way the pacing is on point for what you want in your mystery.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. On your point, I have a note that says, don't make the book glow. That's like your red herring thing. Don't, if it's, just note that it's a book and move on. You've gotten it in there. It's important, but you take notice of a bunch of other normal things too.
Right.
And then after you've written that first draft, you can go back and edit those clues to make them better.
Add more.
Yeah, or to take out that blare. If you had the book glow, you can take that out.
Like, it doesn't need to be fluorescent. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. Another thing that I've got about clues is wow.
Oh, yeah? How's that, Marg?
It is so good. Perplexing odd behavior can be used to throw off your reader as well. Like unexpected things that are curious. Things that make your reader ask why or what.
Right. Do you have an example?
I'm trying to think, like, crazy behavior.
Yeah.
Where someone says something like, the sky is purple today. And your character is like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
That's so weird. So it's odd.
Right.
But at the moment, it doesn't mean anything other than your character is going, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
What the heck is wrong with them? And we as humans tend to try to explain the unexplained.
Yeah.
And so likely our character would just go, that's really weird. That person's
That was a weird thing to say, but okay.
Yeah, okay. And you move on. And later that might come back to be something important.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, and then I also have what not to do with clues. And
Okay.
these are pet peeves of mine, honestly.
Oh, sure. Tell me your pet peeves.
Don't be obvious.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Don't have your character believe these clues unless your character's dumb or written to be less intelligent.
What do you mean by, like, believe these clues?
You know, like there's a clue that is so obvious and your character is like,
Oh, yeah.
they don't
It's too
notice
easy.
It.
Like, yeah.
I get disgusted with a character that's so easily misled because I'm sitting here trying to empathize with this person and connect with this person,
Right.
and they're being stupid. Like in horror movies
Yeah.
and horror books, you're thinking, why would they go stand next to the guy with the chainsaw?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah.
And I lose interest
Yeah.
because I think that's not something that a normal
Well, it's
person would do.
dissatisfying. It's like,
is.
oh, like, it was right there. Anybody would see that. And that takes you, I feel like, out of the story. Or, like, at least not
Yeah.
enjoy that character anymore because,
Yeah.
oh.
Remember that your reader is smart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Treat them that way. I get personally really excited when I read a book that I don't guess the ending.
Yeah.
It is so rare, and writers, I think, probably always have this problem because it's just our nature to be thinking of the storyline. I mean, we can't help it. That's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And so to not guess what's coming
Yeah.
and to be surprised
Yeah.
is like the best gift an author can give to me.
Yeah.
So remember that when you're writing.
Definitely.
And then, like you had said, don't overload your book or your story with clues because,
Yeah.
use them sparingly. So that's all I had on clues. And then my next one is red herrings.
Go for it.
Okay. A red herring is a false clue. It is meant to lead your reader astray. But again, don't treat your reader like an idiot. There is nothing
Yeah.
worse than that. This is a good thing to list along with other details so that, just like your clues, you're listing these things with normal things, but your reader, being smart like they are,
Right.
would go, oh, ooh, that means something.
Yeah.
But don't make your character look stupid for not picking it up because, again, that really irritates me.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, it's fun to have a story that is like a puzzle to me. I want to be able to fit pieces in that puzzle, and if a character walks away from an obvious clue, and I'm like, but the puzzle piece is right
Yeah,
there. Like,
yeah.
it's right there.
Doesn't that irritate you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, red herrings are also something that is good to list along with other details, just like clues. And in fact, clues and red herrings are treated the same
Yeah.
way. They're just the anti of each other.
Yeah, I feel like they go hand in hand, but
Yeah.
they are different.
You want to send your reader and your character down the wrong path.
Yeah, because you want to keep them guessing. Like, you want them to keep guessing. You don't want them to figure out this puzzle.
Yeah, I like the stories where there's more than one possible solution.
Yeah.
It could be this because of this and this and this.
Right.
But it could be this because of this and this and this. And so as the writer, it isn't easy, but you got to add those things in. And it is easier after your first draft
Definitely. Yeah.
to go back in and see
Yeah.
where, and tweak your mystery.
Yep.
After that, I've got have your character solve the mystery in a real way. No luck or happenstance.
I have one about luck, too. Avoid character success by luck.
Yeah, there's nothing that pisses me off too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, I have a a lot of pet peeves.
Apparently
when it comes
so.
to mystery.
Yeah, because, I mean, I feel like it's frustrating when your character wins only by a stroke of luck.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that they can't ever be lucky. Like,
Yeah.
luck is a thing. It is
mean,
a thing in real life.
Like that Supernatural episode with the rabbit's foot. Do you remember that one?
yes.
It was all about luck, but
Yeah.
I loved the way that, and this isn't a book, but
Right.
I loved the way luck didn't work. Okay, they got what they specifically asked for, but
Yeah.
the consequences were terrible.
Oh, it was twisted. Yeah.
I loved that one.
I love that too.
A lot of those episodes of Supernatural hit on what we talk about.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like pure urban fantasy.
It's
in
well written.
A show, yeah.
It is. So you have to have your character act in character as well. This is
Yeah,
another thing
yeah.
that pisses me off. If your main character is one of those, beat, let's fight it all out, they're not going to have the nuance in their mind to figure out this delicate puzzle. No, they beat things until they're dead, and that's the way they win.
Well, that's like Kate Daniels. I mean, not to say that she's not intelligent, because she is, but like a lot of her ways of solving her crimes is like, oh, I'm going to go and like swing my sword around until whoever it is gets pissed off enough to come
Yeah,
at me.
absolutely.
And so that's like her way of doing things.
And it is. And she stays in character. They don't have her suddenly being a rocket scientist,
Right.
you know, to solve something. She knows what she knows,
Yeah.
which is a lot. She's not a dumb character
Right. Yeah.
at
No,
all.
she's intelligent, but she's also
But
like,
she
I can throw
does.
my sword at things and it's great.
Yes. And so just make them stay in character. Likewise, your character needs to, you need to have a character, depending on the mystery, like we're saying, it needs to be someone who's curious in nature, or else they wouldn't.
Right.
Basically,
Yeah.
all of that to say, just make your character stay in character.
Yeah. Yeah.
When solving a mystery.
Right. I mean, especially, and I guess that ties in with motives. Like, why does your character care about finding this guy who's murdering people or who has done this crime?
Right.
Or, you know, like, what is their purpose for doing it? And that needs to be in line with who they are.
What is your character's reason for wanting to solve the mystery to begin with?
Right.
Because some pummel until they die characters don't. Why would they ever care to solve the mystery? They don't care.
Right.
You have to have it all play to that character's personality, that they want to. There's a reason. A stake or something that they have to attack to solve this mystery.
Which I think could lead into a bullet point that I have about knowing the backstory of your characters.
Oh, good point.
Including your antagonist. Like, you want to know why they're doing the things they're doing. And especially, you know, I just finished Mac and have it submitted for stuff. And it was interesting thinking about the antagonist's motives. Because, you know, I know all about Mac's motives. Why is she doing what she's doing? But then thinking about the antagonist and just being like, oh, what's his issue? Like, why is he doing all of this stuff? What is his purpose in doing this stuff? And getting into his head. And I think it's important to know that backstory in order to get the mystery down.
And I think that backstory needs to be realistic.
I think so too.
Not just, I'm a bad guy.
Right, yeah.
I want to hurt people or whatever.
You know, those have a time and place, like comic books or whatever, but I think a novel is so much more interesting to me when I can also relate to the bad guy.
That's my favorite thing. It gives me chills just thinking about it, is when you relate to the bad guy and understand 100% where they're coming from and why they're doing it.
Right, yeah.
Like those stories where the bad guy is trying to reset time or whatever because they've lost someone that they love.
Right.
And they don't think in too detail about the consequences to other people because it's their loved one that they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And we as the outside reader are like, but you can't let other people die for your wants.
Right.
But we understand it.
Yeah. Like, I get it.
Love.
Because if it were this person in my life, would I do the same thing?
Right.
Probably.
Right.
Let's be real. So, you know, yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think knowing the backstory can also help plant clues and put in red herrings and that kind of thing throughout your
and
story.
we're not saying that you have to
for sure.
put in the whole backstory in your story. It's just something the writer needs to know.
We're not saying that you have to do anything with any
absolutely.
of this stuff.
Yeah, we aren't ones to talk,
No.
but we are talking, so we love to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're just not saying we're always right.
Right.
And then that goes into my next point, was the antagonist.
Yeah.
Your antagonist is a great way to create mystery as well. Your antagonist doesn't want your main character to solve the problem, so they might be the source of some of those red herrings.
Yeah. That's a good point. I've actually never really thought about it that way.
And you can allow that manipulation of your character by the antagonist, which is a great thing.
Yeah. That would be fun to write.
Yes, I think so too. And then also make sure that your antagonist is going about his plan in a reasonable manner. Like, if you have an antagonist that can do all these powerful magical spells, then why don't they just solve it that way?
Just use it. Yeah.
So you've got to make it realistic. Think about that when you're writing. You know, if he's all powerful, my point here says he wouldn't be wasting his time to try to throw the main character off track.
Right. Well, there's got to be, I feel like you have to think about the protagonist and the antagonist and what they are to each other, even if they don't know each other, but they've got to be something, because obviously the protagonist is trying to find this antagonist, and that's that relationship. But the antagonist believes that either the protagonist can stop them, it means something to them, you know, they know something about them, something there
you
is
know, I think what
important.
we were talking about is, don't make your antagonist too one-dimensional. You know, I think we ought to probably do an episode on writing an antagonist.
I think so, too.
That would be a great topic.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
The other thing, the next point, and I'm actually going
to stop you,
Okay.
because it kind of goes in hand in hand with the antagonist, is introduce the culprit early.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
kind of just mention them towards the beginning of the story, because a lot of it is like you're going through this entire novel and you have all of these clues and these puzzle pieces and your reader's trying to put that together, and then at the end it has nothing to do with anyone that they've met before.
Yeah. Oh, I would be pissed.
I'd be pissed too. Like I want to feel like I can solve this before the end.
Yeah.
Whether I actually want to solve it before the end is irrelevant.
Right.
But I want to feel like I could possibly figure it out, because then by the end of it, and I want to be like, aha, it was that person, or aha, I didn't realize it was that person, but it makes sense.
It's Uncle Joe's stepsister.
Right.
Who?
Yeah.
We've never heard of her.
Right. As opposed to, the brother of
Yeah.
the main character's best friend or something like that we
Who
met
we
back
have
in
seen,
chapter 1. Yeah.
And who has done things and even maybe pretended to help.
Yeah. And I think this is, I think that's good for a mystery, but I also think it's not definitely necessary depending on what kind of story you're telling. Because urban fantasy can go in so many different directions. True. But if it is like a whodunit murder in your urban fantasy, I think it is important to see early on who the culprit is without telling your reader that this is the culprit.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you have more on that?
No.
Okay. Be sure to solve all the little mysteries that you have created.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of like subplots, right?
It is. You've got to tie them all up.
Yeah, yeah.
Game of Thrones. So many things were promised to us throughout that series, and they didn't explain a bunch
lot
of
of
them. I was like, but what about this? And what about this? And they never said anything of this. I was a little upset.
A little disappointed.
Disappointed is the better word. So you make sure you tie up all those clues that you dropped out there. That either mean something or come to be seen as, that was a red herring.
Right.
So that our reader isn't going, but what about that clue?
Yeah.
You never said what happened with that clue.
Your character might be doing that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to do that. You want to have a satisfying climax, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You want to satisfy your reader.
Definitely.
The reader should be able to go back and say, I saw this coming, or I didn't see this coming,
exactly
but it makes sense because of X, Y, and Z.
That's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have a trail by the end of the novel, whether I figured it out or not. I want to be able to be like, yes, this made complete sense.
It gives me chills again. I love that kind of writing.
Me too. It's so much fun.
Okay, and then I've got things to consider.
I have one more bullet about like how to add it into your story, or like tips for adding it in. Wait as long as possible for the big reveal. You want it to stay towards the end of the novel. You want to make sure that you have that satisfying climax, and you want to make sure that your puzzle pieces all make sense, and it's exciting by the end.
Yeah, because if you solve the mystery in the middle of the book, unless it's a subplot, then your reader's like, well, I'm done. I don't need to read anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So the longer you can entice that reader to turn that page, the better off you are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
That's it?
Yep.
And then I've got, talking about that resolution of the mystery.
Yeah.
Avoid an info dump reveal.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you sit them all down and I solved this because this, and that. Don't tell us how, make actions show the reveal.
Yeah.
You show versus tell, which I understand. I have a huge problem with that.
I feel like everyone does, though. Like, that's such an easy thing. Like, even just going through Aiden, which I'm working on now, like I have, I'm doing a lot of world building with this one. So I went and reread like what I've already written for it. And I was like, whew, I need to like actually go back and like take a bunch of stuff out.
It is hard to see that when you're writing because it's going in your mind and you're trying to get this world building, especially I think in urban fantasy it is especially difficult with the showing versus telling because we're trying to create an entire world and it's really hard to show that every step of the way. There's some stuff you've got to tell. Yeah. You just have to.
You have to. There's no way to
But I go always way overboard.
Yeah.
And so that's where you help me a whole lot. Because I don't even see it. I honestly don't see it.
Yeah.
An active reader involvement in solving the clues and piecing it together. You want them to be going, okay, they said this earlier and now there's this. So maybe, you want that to be going on in your reader's mind.
Yes.
That is having them actively involved in your story as if they are a character and trying to solve it themselves.
Yeah.
Have multiple possible but reasonable explanations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with
like red herrings.
It could be this, and this because of this. It could be this, and this. And I want it to all make sense.
Yeah.
And don't treat your reader like they're an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
You can use setting and description to add suspense, like horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the shadows, you can use sentences to create suspense in addition to just the straight out mystery. If you're looking for that suspense.
Word choice is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mood, the descriptions, you can have your reader on edge going, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
Which I think is a great thing to add in urban fantasy.
I think so too.
And then I move on to some suspense things. So if you've got more on mystery.
No, go for it. What I have left is I have a few do's when writing mystery, and I have a few don'ts when writing mystery.
Why don't you do those now?
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I'm kind of going off track.
Oh, okay, with suspense and that kind of thing. Sure. So 3 do's. The first one is do withhold information that the protagonist needs to know.
Right.
Because it's always going to keep you wondering, like, obviously this protagonist doesn't know everything. I want them to know everything. I want them to solve it, and I want to solve it myself.
You know who does a really good job at that? The Kalena,
Kalena Price.
Kalena Price. Uh-huh. She does a really good job of not making me think that our main character is stupid, but also withholding information, and she knows that there's information she doesn't know.
Right.
Excellent. I just finished the last book of her.
Nice.
The last one that she's got. I think she's got a new one coming out soon. But that was excellent. And all the way through, I never felt like the main character was stupid.
It is very good.
Yeah. She does a really good job of withholding things from the main character.
Yes. And therefore, we are also withheld from knowing things.
Yes.
Because I have a point here where it's like the reader and the protagonist should be in the same boat,
Yes.
What the protagonist doesn't know, the reader shouldn't know. I mean, assuming it's not a suspense. This is for a mystery.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So, the reader will feel as if they're in the adventure along with the main character.
And I love that. It keeps the pages turning. I'm excited at night that's when I have time to read, is to go lay down and I'm going to bed. I want to go read. And
I'm going to go into this other world for now.
Yeah, I cannot wait to go and turn those pages and find out what more is going on. She is one of my favorite characters. I love her. She has got such wonderful flaws. And
Alex Kraft.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I love that series.
Those are great books. And then so another do is to use natural plot progressions to create reveals. So you want it to flow naturally, is basically what that is saying. Fiction mirrors life in that no one is ever sure what's going to happen from moment to moment, and you want that to be the same in your novel. Like, what's going to happen next?
That's true. I like that idea.
And then the last do is to uncover secrets in the characters' pasts. So you want to, get into their backstory.
Yeah.
A lot of that can add to the mystery as you learn more about your protagonists and why they're doing things, because again, you don't want to info dump,
right?
So you can kind of spread it out through the novel, and in doing so you can create more suspense, you can create more questions, you can create more ideas about what their motives are, and you can let them relate to your readers, so your readers can relate to your character more as you get further into your novel.
I like that. That's a good point.
Which I thought it was an interesting point too.
Yeah. And then you have don'ts too?
I do. I have 3 don'ts, which is don't withhold basic need-to-know information.
Ah.
So, you do want to withhold information that the protagonist needs to know, but that's different than need-to-know information up front.
Right. I agree with that. That is a valid point.
So, information a character's name, gender, or general goal, get that out there.
Right.
Because if you don't know those things, then what's the point?
Yeah, I think a problem that some writers might have in doing mystery is keeping that need-to-know information hidden, thinking that that's mystery, and that is not the same thing.
Yeah, because you want to have your reader understand what's going on,
right?
And you want them to have enough information to make their own ideas.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
They want to connect. They need to connect to the story, and if you hide basic information from them, thinking that you're creating mystery, that's also going to piss off your reader.
Yeah, yeah. Also, don't withhold common knowledge among characters. So between characters, if they all know something, don't withhold that from your reader.
Okay.
If the protagonist knows something and he's not sharing with the reader, it better be for a good reason.
Yeah.
Because the reader could end up feeling manipulated or...
I have felt that way before, too, where it will come out later that the main character knew this all along, and I'm like, but wouldn't he have thought that? Wouldn't he have thought that in his mind for me to know?
Yeah, and so then you feel manipulated by the author as opposed to being a part of the story with your main character.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's I think it's a really good point of be careful not to do that.
And some of this may just take practice.
Oh, for sure.
We aren't published yet, so obviously we've got practicing to do.
Right.
But these are all valid ideas. We just need to practice putting them in place.
Yeah. And then I have don't ignore plot holes and plausibility gaps. You know, a character who shows up in chapter 5 with an unheard ability of leaping tall buildings and stopping speeding trains, you need to explain that. At least eventually.
Yeah.
You can't just not, like, oh, this character can suddenly jump tall buildings and that solves one of my problems.
Right.
Like, that's kind of like a lazy, lucky kind of
And
out for your protagonist.
Pisses your reader off.
Right. So
Apparently I get pissed off a lot.
apparently so. But that kind of thing can cause like a major destruction of your reader's suspension of disbelief. So it'll
Yes.
pull your reader out of the story.
It does. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And then like every moment should present or further an element of mystery in your novel.
Okay.
So like everything should lend to that mystery. Everything should keep your reader guessing.
Okay.
And just make sure that, you know, there's no plot hole that makes you go, wait, why did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they suddenly jump from this thought to this conclusion?
And how's your margarita? She just
I just
almost knocked over her
my
microphone.
mic. It's good.
Okay, so I have Suspense, talking about creating high stakes. Sometimes in an urban fantasy, it isn't going to be an outright mystery, but we're looking to create suspense. Something we need to move the reader forward in our plot line, and sometimes suspense is the way to do that.
Right.
This is along the line of throwing rocks again. We talk about throwing rocks.
I love throwing rocks.
You can make the stakes super high for your character, which is going to make your reader go, oh my God, how are they going to get out of this? That's suspense.
Yeah.
That is something that, you know, we do. We throw rocks a lot at our characters.
Yeah.
But think it through. Make sure there's a logic to the stakes that you
Right.
play. And would your character really care enough about those stakes? Like
Yeah.
when I was my first draft of Frickin' Fairies and Courtney read it, and she was like, I still don't quite get why she cares so much about these fairies.
Yeah.
Why would she upend her life to do this?
Yeah.
And so I had to rethink that and make the stakes
Higher. Yep.
and give a better reason for her to do that. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind when you're writing. If it is a life and death issue, then why? Why is that reasonable? How does
Right.
that happen? Just you got to think about these things.
Yeah.
And then the mystery should answer the pressing questions that you've kept your readers asking.
Yep.
And reveal truths about characters that were falsely suspected.
Yeah.
So if they think all along, oh, it's going to be the butler, and it's not,
Yeah.
you need to explain why it was so clear that it was the butler.
Definitely.
You know, what were those red herrings? Who was it that was trying to frame that person? Or what were the clues that
led to that
And they have
conclusion.
to be
Yeah.
reasonable, or your reader, again, is going to say, well, that was
Well, that
dumb.
was stupid.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to read any more of this writer's books.
Right.
So that's all I've got on mystery.
Nice. I had just like a couple of points pointing out mystery and urban fantasy that we've read.
Okay.
So, you know, Patricia Briggs, the Mercy Thompson series, in each of her books, she's got some kind of mystery or crime to
there's-
solve.
Yeah, usually murder of some kind.
Yeah.
Thinking of,
So I pulled out, you know, the very first book, Moon Called. She introduces the bad guy towards the beginning.
Yeah.
And I won't give out any spoilers, but she does, you know, the typical, in a mystery, you introduce the culprit early without telling us that he's the bad guy. And we follow Mercy as she figures out who's doing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying by the end because, you know, we've seen the culprit and we have like all these puzzle pieces and it's like, oh, like that was so interesting to go back in. And then likewise, Kate Daniels, I don't think she deals with murder and like mystery and all that kind of stuff, like the typical mystery murder stuff. But she also has to go through each of these books and figure out what it is that she's facing. Because a lot of the urban legends and myths that Ilona Andrews uses, Kate has to figure out what it is.
What is this monster I'm fighting this week?
Right, and how does it work? And can I kill it by swinging a sword at it and all that kind of stuff?
Which is her favorite way.
Yes, so I think those are really good examples of mystery and urban fantasy that we've read.
Definitely. We highly, highly recommend both of those series.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, they're so good.
They really are. I think if you think that you want to write urban fantasy,
definitely read those.
You've got to read those books.
Yeah. Patricia Briggs is really what got me started on writing urban fantasy the way that I do.
Yeah,
so.
If you want to see how it's done and how it's done right. And I've read Patricia Briggs all the way back to her beginning stuff.
Yeah.
She's always been an excellent writer.
Yeah.
But she really has found her niche with Mercy.
Yeah. Oh, Mercy's great.
So, yeah, y'all go out and read those. If you're quarantined, if you're in social distancing right
Get
now,
those books.
Order these books, read them. You will not be upset, and in fact, you will love us for it.
Yes, absolutely. That's all I have. So
Okay, I just knocked
Knocked
my
her mic.
microphone. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening.
I do have an interview question.
Oh, I forgot.
Listen.
Okay.
All right. Do you have characters in your books that are inspired by people that you know in real life?
I do. I don't do it very often.
Yeah.
But those teenage characters of
Yeah.
mine, sorry, daughter number 3, she's probably not going to listen to this, but she is hilarious, and a lot of things that she will say find their way into my books.
Yeah.
Also, my youngest, who's now a teenager, is brilliant.
Yeah.
And a lot of what now I don't base my characters on my daughters,
those people, yeah.
but some of the things they say, some of the traits they have, the snarkiness. My youngest is one of the snarkiest people you would ever meet, and she's brilliant.
Yeah.
So a lot of her twisted humor comes into some of my characters.
Yep.
But I don't have full-on characters modeled after people I know.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't think of my characters in that way. My characters kind of just like walk into my
They're
brain
their
and they
own
exist.
people. Yeah.
The only way that I get close to that is that a lot of my main characters are based in some part on myself.
Yeah.
Which I think every writer probably does to
Because
some degree.
we understand those people.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
ourselves. All those
We
people
understand
that are in
us.
my head. Yeah, that didn't come out right.
No. And Mark must be really good.
Yeah, well, my husband says I have a stadium of people inside my head, so, I relate to some of them.
You do understand those people.
I do understand those people sometimes.
Good grief. But I think the closest I get really is my main characters because they are based just on me.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of pieces of people that I might meet in real life that find their way into certain characters.
Yeah.
But the characters are not based. The characters,
Wow.
characters form in my head. They talk to me. They aren't people I know.
Right.
They
They
show
just are.
up and
Yeah.
they're there and they're already themselves.
Right.
So, yeah, but some of the funny things that I see, humor is one of my favorite things to write. I do write the lighter side of things.
Yeah.
They do find their way in, and children are such great sources of material, especially teenage girls.
Yes. Absolutely. All right, now you can outro.
Now I can close it out. So thank you for listening. Don't forget that we've still got merch to give out.
We do.
We just leave us a review and then email us your address so we can mail the goodies to you. Check out our website at eatdrinkwritepodcast.com. All of our social media is listed there. Our email is listed there. You can even contact us through the website if you want to. We have sections under that: an eat section, a drink section, a write section, and I post there all the time the different drinks that we drink, the pictures of our food. So the Scotch eggs will be under the eat portion of that. So come check that out. And we're now on YouTube. Don't forget that.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great way to leave a review. It's Eat, Drink, Write, and Urban Fantasy Whiteboard, and let us know what ideas you want us to talk about, what topics that there are out there for you. We're more than willing to do that. We do have a Patreon. It's where you can help support us because it costs money to do this. It's patreon.com, patreon.com/EDW podcast. Thank you guys for your support.
Thanks, guys.